Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
And we back, and we back, and we back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's another episode of the Slick and Thick podcast brought to you by the one and the only Gas Digital. To my left, at 6'3", 200 pounds, and every one of them is a problem. The man, the myth, the legend, the tamer of punks, the master of sages, the CEO of the RNC, Slick Mick, the ruler, Mickey Gall, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what up, baby?
Hey.
Thanks for the intro, G.
That's what I'm here for, baby.
I know.
And next to Slick Mick, the ruler,
Yeah.
a guest of his royal thickness, Thicky Smalls himself, Gerard Michaels, the funniest man you never heard of, is a man that I consider a walking, talking war machine. You are an absolute battle weapon. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the baddest man you've never heard of, Devin Moultrie. What's up, Devin? Welcome to Slick and Thick.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah?
Thank you for gracing us, for blessing us, bro.
Anytime.
Hell yeah.
So talk to us, Dev. Dev, for people that don't know, you are one of the most interesting guys I've ever met in my life. All right? One, stop flexing. It's a lot. All right? For people that can't tell.
Stop buttering them up then.
He's very long. Listen, whoa, what? Pause. Yeah, there's a reason Mick's standing up this whole time, folks. Mick is
Well, I don't like not being the tallest guy on the podcast. And this motherfucker's 6'8", so it's like I might as well stand the whole time. You know what I mean?
I was like, that's 6'3", 200 pounds, and every one of them's a problem. He starts giggling. What is that about?
6'3", that's cute.
What's going on?
I was there 9 years ago.
So Devin,
Give me 9 years, bro.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be 6'8" too.
Any day now. I'm gonna hit that second
Waiting
growth
for
spurt.
that 30-year-old growth spurt.
That's
you know
it,
what I'm
man. That's the good one.
I'm
30-year-old
banking
growth
on
spurt.
it.
Yeah. It goes down after that. I used to be taller. I'm getting shorter.
Yeah, you're what? 5'4"?
God damn. Why don't you even hang out with these guys? You know, most people I could kick the shit out of, guys. Okay, don't stop bullying me. Yeah. So Devin, man, tell us your story, dude. You have one of the most incredible stories out of anybody I've ever met, and it starts in South Carolina. Is that correct? You're a Carolina guy?
Yes, I was born in Columbia, South Carolina, but I was raised in a little town called Ellery. It was back and forth, so I spent my school years usually in West Columbia, and during the summer months, like the spring, summer months, and parts of the fall, I was spending in Ellery. It's like the lowlands, basically.
Geechee? Gullah Geechee?
No, those are the Charleston guys.
What is that word?
All right. Well, I guess we'll tag team this.
Geechee?
Geechee. So, and this is my understanding of it. It's there were like freed slaves and Indians. And a lot of times, like either Indians would help free slaves, and then the slaves would like team up with the what do you think, bro? Native Americans, the natives, and they would kind of team up and go like just being like bad motherfuckers, just tearing up and down, like just like knocking over. You never heard of this shit?
Spike Lee has
knocking over like plantations and like just fucking
For
people
real?
up, and like it's like really cool story.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the freed, either the freed slaves, the freed
Or
men,
the Indians, the natives that would that would help free them. They would team up, and they would they would go up and down like just
How
slang
has
shit.
there not been a
my boy
movie made
Dorian?
out of this?
My boy Dorian is Gullah Geechee, Ali, Charlemagne the God is one.
Gullah Geechee?
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
so they have Gola. They made a
Gola Island.
Gola Island, but yeah, it's the Gola Island basically.
Really?
Because there's a lot of islands in South Carolina people don't know about, like Hilton Head.
Hilton Head's fun.
Yeah, the Beaufort Islands,
Yep.
like Deer Island, stuff like that. So a lot of the Geechees are either between there and or Charleston. Can't remember exactly where. Like
So on the
Island.
coast, more towards the coast.
Some are in the coast, some are in inner cities, but a lot of them are in the coast. They like the old school. They go fishing, hunting. People can grow farms. Like they're the old school guys. They're
Yeah, when you
very
said you grew up
religious.
on a farm, that was what made me wonder.
Yeah, because similar lifestyle. We have them in our family. I'm just not one. But they have an interesting language. They even have a Bible written in the broken English that they
Really?
speak. Yeah.
So it's kind of almost like Caribbean then in that regard. Is that?
Yeah, they
is
have.
that
Yeah, they have it's broken up between that and the Caribbean now because a lot of them are from the West Indies and like stuff like that. I don't know their full history, but that is what I know of them as far as that. That and their food is good. That's how I learned how to make. We had this thing called Buford stew, and that's who taught me how to make it. Was those people? It was pretty cool.
Buford stew.
Yeah, they take like a big ass Dutch oven. It's like this big, and they'll like throw like potatoes in there, like crawdad. Crawfish, for those I don't know what that is, lobster tail, crabs, whatever, and they'll mix it all together with corn and stuff, and they'll just put like Cajun seasoning in, and they'll just broil.
So it's like a boil. So it's like a crawfish boil type of a deal.
Yeah,
that's some good stuff. Ooh, that's some good food right there.
Yeah, it is. It's expensive as fuck now. So.
It is very expensive to do a boil, man.
Yeah.
That's a big flex people don't realize when those guys are doing those like 5-gallon boils and stuff like doing those crab boils for Instagram. I'm like, man, that's a $1,000
right?
boil. That's a big flex right there, dude.
It was $100. Now it's expensive, so it has increased tenfold.
Yeah,
bro, I had crawfish etouffee in New Orleans. Oh my gosh, that's like in my top 10 food right now.
That's
my favorite. That's my favorite New Orleans food for sure right now.
Yeah, they have I know like in. Not New Orleans, that they're very similar. They're obviously a little bit different, but like they're very similar cooking style. Those are in Charleston because there's a mixture between those two.
So you grew up on a farm here in South Carolina, and were you this size when you were in high school? Were you playing football? Were you playing basketball? Were you an athlete?
Oh yeah, I was an athlete. I didn't really play sports until later. I played a little bit of football. It didn't last long. Maybe part of one season, and then I ended up playing basketball. So I played basketball at a place called Airport High School. Wasn't the best. My first year I sucked. I was like on third string, and then I went to there was a coach that was willing to work with me, so I ended up working with this guy, and he got me to varsity. I ended up moving to a different school. I got cut from that team. I just wasn't good. I honestly wasn't good enough to be on that team. It was one of the best teams. And then I ended up going to a military academy called Woodloo Gray Opportunity School. It was like for those that are troubled going down the wrong path or whatever. So
and that you were troubled, you were going down the wrong path?
Kind of. I used to get bullied a lot, and then one day I just snapped.
Who is seeing you and bullying you?
I was a twig.
You were a
kind of
twig?
Punk. Yeah, I cried all the time. I was a twig. And one day,
were you growing up in an area? Was it were you pretty much in a primarily all black area? Were you experiencing racism? I mean, is this
yeah, dude. Not like a lot of people don't realize. Like, I'll be 37 in a couple of weeks. So even in my time, like a lot of people, they speak about race, so they don't know it real. Like, dude, I used to see the Klan and shit.
Actual Klan.
Yeah, I saw the actual Klan. Matter of fact, the last time I had an interaction with the Klan was in 2015. I went to and sorry if I'm jumping all over the place.
Nah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I went to, in a nutshell, I went to this, remember Dylan Roof shot up the church.
That's right. Yeah,
he shot the church and I actually know some of his family.
That's
Dylan
Roof.
Yeah, I know some of his family out there and everything. So he shot up the church.
Ooh, so you know Dylan Roof's family? How?
Parts of them, yeah. Well, it's a small community. Let's put it that way. We know of. Matter of fact, there's a fighter that actually was one of the first responders there. His name is Odie Delaney. He's a fighter now. And he was one of the first responders, messes him up to his day what he saw. But you'd have to ask him the details of that. But I knew about that. And
if I remember correctly, one of the saddest parts of that story, too, as if there's any not ridiculously sad part, but there was like an older woman who was like sitting there like praying for him while he was doing this.
Yes.
And trying to get him to sit down and pray with her. Did he ever describe why he did it? What?
He said, I can't say verbatim, but I think he was saying that, in a nutshell, I guess he didn't like where he thinks that blacks were causing problems, stuff like that, and that there's going to be a race war. It had something to do with that, but I don't know the full details.
So he walks into a church of all places?
Well, he was going to, he chose a place where he knew there were, most of those guys they're cowards, man. They're not going to go in, I guarantee he would have walked up in the hood, shot up the hood, and he would have died within the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
He went where he knew there would be
path of least resistance.
Yeah, least resistance. There'll be no one there to be armed. So that's what happened. So in a nutshell of that one, he shot the place, and then he turned around. He got caught by the cops not too long, and they took him to Burger King. Shit, that shit annoyed me.
They took Dylan Roof to Burger King.
Yeah, gave him something to eat and shit after he ran and shit, after he shot up these people. It was weird. That's why a lot of blacks were upset. So the reason I'm telling you that part is because what the legislation decided to do is they decided to remove took us 60 years, but it took us them plus that shooting up the church to remove the Confederate flag because they hung it from the State House in Columbia. Mm-hmm. So my mom couldn't go that day because they were going to lower it. I guess it was July. I can't remember the exact day. I have the pictures, but it was in July.
So this was in your community?
Yeah, it was in my community. So and I'm aware of the church and everything. I have family members that are like they're affiliate with the church. So that's why it was important. So I went out there and went to the State House, which is in Columbia. It's only 15 minutes away from my mom's house. So I went out there and then they lowered the flag. They took it to the museum. The government, I forget her name, it's an Indian chick. I forget her name, but she ended up giving a speech.
Yeah.
And then she left.
Not Nikki Haley. What was her name?
Yeah, Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley, yeah.
Exactly. So then so after she left, everyone's starting to leave, but then, the different groups are coming out, all the political groups and stuff like that, the anti-abortion, they just want to spew whatever.
Jump on it, yeah.
Yeah, so then not too long after that, the gang, I knew that was going to be a problem because the gang showed up, like the Bloods, the Crips, and they're working together.
Well, I imagine that people have to want revenge. They got to be out for blood after something like that, you figure.
Yeah, well, they were there in response to the Klan showing up.
So the Klan showed up to this?
Yeah, they came out there. It's like on video.
Do you remember any of this?
No.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's either the Klan or some sort of, I don't know if they were white supremacists. I can't remember who they were. They didn't have on the hoods. They had on militaristic, down like black outfits.
Sure. And this predated Trump. Is that correct? This is this at the end of the Obama? Yeah.
This is like 2015, dude.
Yeah, this is at the end of the Obama years, right?
Yeah. He's like from 2000. Yeah. So it's after the end. So yeah, he was right out almost at the end. So then, like I said, I had a run-in with them. Long story short, fights broke out. It got nasty. I even got in a fight.
In a fight with the Klan?
One of the guys, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he was drunk or on drugs or some shit. Mm-hmm. Long story short, so I don't incriminate myself, but long story short, some guy.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, a guy spit on me. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the worst things you could do to me.
Yeah.
If not the worst thing you could do to me. I'd rather you stab me. I don't want to be spit on. Yeah.
I've been
stabbed. It hurts.
Yeah.
I don't want to be spit on.
Yeah, maybe in a post-pandemic world.
Am I the only guy here who hasn't been stabbed?
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, I've been stabbed, yeah. Multiple times. Sucks.
Would not recommend.
Yeah. Don't
You're
recommend
doing good.
it. Yeah, don't. Right. But yeah, that's what happened. Long story short, stuff happened, and that's part of that history.
So you're going through all of that racial strife. You're finding yourself going down, I guess, the wrong path, and then you somehow find yourself in the military.
Well, yeah. So yeah, I got in trouble. I got into a fight with a kid, Jamaican kid. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he basically he would bully me and my brother, and I had enough. So I ended up beating up the younger brother, and I chased the older brother with my mom's van, and it was crazy. So they said you go to a military academy, so that's where I ended up going. I went to live with my dad, and I eventually went to the military academy, and then from there I got recruited into the U.S. Navy.
Wow.
Yeah,
so all this racial issue that's happening, all this strife that you're living through, and it's a Jamaican that puts you over the edge.
Yeah.
This guy, he just wouldn't leave you alone.
Yeah, I got bullied by everybody, whites, blacks, Hispanic. It didn't matter. Everybody was out to get me for some reason because I was like the tall, skinny kid. You beat up tall, skinny kids, and I probably was. I can't remember everything about myself. I was probably a trash. I don't know. But
did you bring it upon yourself, or was it just like
sometimes like I look goofy to some kids, man, because I was the light skinned black kid. No, like the dark skinned kids didn't like me. The white kids didn't like me. So it's like,
I would have been your friend, bro.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't want to fight you.
Now, were you doing jiu-jitsu back then? Were you aware of jiu-jitsu back then? Or?
I didn't know what that was. All I knew was taekwondo, karate, and wrestling and boxing. That's really all I knew.
Yeah.
That's all I heard of anyway. I didn't do any. I did a little bit of taekwondo. I studied it off and on for about 10 years.
Well, spoiler alert, you become, one of the better coaches around, and you become a second-degree black belt and, a champion in your own right. But
and I got to give him a compliment, too, because I've seen you guys rolling and stuff. I think Devin has some of the best body mechanics, especially for someone his size. Yeah. Like the way you move, and I take body mechanics very seriously. Yeah. Like you can tell someone's kind of capabilities based on that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I saw that right away when I watched you guys rolling. Movement, I can see the way you move, can flip your hips, different, Yeah,
Yeah, you
high
can't
level
miss-
shit.
Yeah, with people, especially someone strong as Gerard, the last thing I want to do is have poor mechanics and poor movement behavior.
I mean, you could try
I
it
call
once
it
or
mo- I
twice.
call it-
That'd be fun if you would just
I call it, yeah, if I mess up,
poor
I call-
mechanics one time. That'd be great.
Yeah, if you move wrong, you
Like-
get injured. Like I always
Yeah.
tell you, if you move wrong, you get injured. That's poor movement.
But even the way-
we call it misbehavior movement.
The way you move, some people would hurt themselves trying to move that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you have that capability.
to do that.
You know?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's what landed me in the military. 2003 is when I signed up in November, and then I officially went in. I think not too long after that.
And so you go into the military, and the next thing you know, you're deployed, you're in combat, you became a guard in Guantanamo Bay. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went to. So I did.
This is a rough first 20 years of life here, man. This is
Yeah, well,
Man's a warrior.
this
Straight up.
is-
Yeah.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
at 22 I was drinking Keystone Lights and hanging out with
Kind of
cleat chasers in Virginia, man.
Well, Yeah, before I go any further, life wasn't all too bad. Like those are rough instances in my life, but I had some good times too. I got to fish. I learned how to hunt. I did have good male role models in my life. And
when you think fishing is a good time, you've had a shit upbringing, bro.
Hey man, don't sleep on fishing, bro.
Yeah,
Don't
you-
sleep on fishing.
When you
Sleep
look
with the
back,
fishes,
when you
motherfuckers.
look back at your childhood, and like I gotta just tell you, the times I was sitting on a boat all the fuck alone were the best times. My God,
I got to hang out. So, yeah,
He wasn't fishing alone, man.
you and
He
me
wasn't
going
fishing
fishing
alone.
in the dark. Yeah, oh, there's a little lady out there with you. Hey, ma'am, you want to come fishing with me now?
Yeah, it sounds about how they sound.
I'll show you how to hook a worm.
So
That doesn't even make sense.
That's not it.
Hook a worm?
You gotta hook a worm.
If you
Alright,
think
alright,
about
I
it
see it
from
now.
South Carolina, it's kind of it sounds
Okay.
about right. But yeah, that's how I landed in the military. And I got into boot camp. I want to say April 2004. And then after I graduated boot camp was a walk in the park. A lot of people think boot camp was hard. Boot camp was easy. The hardest part was the swimming, which I failed continuously because black people can't swim. But that used to be a joke. Believe it or not, that was a running joke.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for our guest, Devin Moultrie, spewing this hatred.
Yeah.
Next thing we're going to know, how are you at ice skating? Are you any good at ice skating, bud?
I actually learned how to ice skate when I was in the Navy. Yeah.
Progress.
Yeah.
It's the light skin.
I fell down every time. I ran over kids and everything. I ran over a small group of kids. I was like, I hope I ain't dying.
Yeah.
I'm killing any of the kids.
Dude, that's so funny. Yeah, Siano, Mickey Siano over here is like, so hey man, how come you guys aren't having any guests of color? And we're like, we gotta have Devin on. Are you kidding me? Devin's gonna be the best. And then immediately Devin comes on.
black.
Like,
I'm
black
old.
people can't swim.
Yeah, I'm black. I'm a little diluted. You know.
Yeah, dude.
But boot camp was easy. I got through boot camp and I got stationed on a ship called the USS Oscar Austin back in 2004. They were basically went on deployment not too long after I got there. Excuse me. And then
And what year is this now?
2004.
Oh, so we're like right in the middle of Iraq, Afghanistan.
Yeah, the surges were still happening, like stuff like that. So
So you knew that there was good chance when you were signing up. You knew that there was a good chance you were going to see active combat.
I did not know. I actually didn't have a good chance. I didn't see it as a possibility at one point unless I went to Buds. I thought about it because I would see all the shows, and then I went in there and they killed my dream almost instantly. Like, your ASVAB score is too low because I kind of Christmas treated. I made like a 48 or a 50 on it. I can't remember. And I retook it. But then I was like, I kind of like the job I'm doing. It's not hard. I'm not getting shot at. No one's beating me up or whatever. So, like, my first job was I would moor ships to, like, piers and stuff, or I would de-rust a ship, stuff like that. But then I did what you call individual augmentation. So I think, like, partway after I can't remember the exact time. So basically I went through this training. It lasted roughly 5, almost 6 months. And then this is right around time, I think. So hold on, I'm trying to
And what type of training are you guys doing? Are they teaching you jiu-jitsu? Are they teaching martial arts in the military? Or?
No. Majority of my original like what they had me train for is detainee operations originally, and then it's like, okay, well, you're already
What was
here.
that? Detainee operations?
Yeah, there's a term for it. They have it on my I wish I had my DU 214 with me. That's what I'm trying to remember the time frame. But basically, they did detainee operations like a month and a half of training, and then another couple of months we were learning how to clear buildings, stuff like that. And then we learned, we went through like a survival school, whatever, and like they call it SEER. And then after that, I ended up going on the deployment. So like I said, not too long after that, I went on the regular deployment, not Iraqi, but went on what we call a med cruise. So I think I went to boot camp in April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Like not too long after that, I went through the training or whatever, and then we went on the deployment. Went on deployment for about 8 months, or 6. Yeah, it was about 7 months actually, and then we got back, and then not too long after that, they said, okay, we're going to send you over here to Basra. So I went to Basra. I'd say like July, August. I can't remember the exact times. August, and then all the way up to about November. So I wasn't there a full 6 months.
So when you were growing up, right? You said that you were getting picked on. You know, probably had a little bit of a negative self-image or some insecurity if that was happening, right? Now you're going through this training. Do you feel yourself changing? Do you feel yourself becoming more confident? How are you the person changing in this environment? Is this environment making you better, worse? Is it pushing you? Did you feel like you fit into it? Did you feel like it was working for you? Did you feel like it was a mistake? What was your mental state in this moment?
I gained some confidence. I didn't learn like martial arts, not to what a degree I know today. They teach you like a
Combatives.
It's combatives. It's not even like.
What is combatives?
You could probably answer that better.
Yeah, so basically what they do is they teach you functional martial arts. So basically they'll teach you how to, take down an opponent, disarm, how to break limbs, stuff like that. Very, very basic. Like you can't do certain throws because you don't want your belt or your vest to get hooked up. They teach you how to do arm bars. They have like basic, like, and I learned, like, I didn't know what I was doing was jiu-jitsu, but they were showing how to do arm bars, triangles, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They even taught us even a variation of the heel hook. So this
is this stuff about like how to get to your firearm or how to get to your weapon and stuff? Because shockingly enough, and then Mickey has a great stat where he says that, I forget where you found the stat, but people are
14,000.
People are 14,000 times
untrained people.
Untrained people are 14,000 times less effective in combat than they think they are.
Yeah, because like a lot of the times, let's say if you're trying to, like, let's say if I walk into a room, if you have a rifle, someone disarms your rifle, a lot of people don't know how to use their hands. Or if you have a gun, someone might take the gun or the knife away from you and use it against you. That's normally what happens. I've seen.
Well, I'll tell you, and I love guns. You go to shoot, right, and you're shooting. You're at the range, and you're sitting there, and you eye down the target. You take a deep breath, and you're like, man, I could center mass anybody. I'm amazing. Yeah. And then you do like one tactical training, and like it's impossible to get the gun out of your holster. Yeah, because you're like, how do I get this thing out? Oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, my experience was
like, that's loud.
I grew. The one thing that helped me was I grew up shooting rifles. So, and I've had adrenaline rushes with animals, like hunting animals. So, being in that situation, I was able to deal with it better than the average person. But like the one thing is, like, I remember the first time we did I think the first one I did was I failed the pistol course 3 times.
You failed the pistol course
3 times, dude, because they would have us. What they would do is they'll have us start at like a 50 or 60 meter line or whatever. I can't remember. You shoot 2 shots and you run to the first cover, shoot 2 or 3 more, run to the next cover, you reload, shoot, run to it, and you get up to the 3 targets and you have to clear 3 targets. I think you have to put 2 rounds in each target within a few seconds.
They're like, Devin, you are 6'8". You've got shot 18 times over the course of this.
Yeah.
Big target. Big target.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that pistol was different from the rifle. So that was the biggest issue I had. But then eventually I got it nailed on the 4th try. Rifle, that was instant for me. It was not, but then a shotgun was interesting. I never had to use it in combat or like in a situation like that. But like shotguns are.
For you, what was your most effective firearm in combat? Did you feel best with?
M16 was fine. AK-47 was good too. More tissue damage to AK-47. The M16 was probably the most in the market. The one gun I liked when we did like a. I can't talk about it, but base operation. We had these Mark 18s. It's like a little small, cause it's like a toy gun. It's a little like 5.56, toy gun. It's like this big. Shoots like the M16 round, like an M4 but smaller. That was a pretty cool gun. I got to shoot. And then the sidearm we had was an M9. No, it was an M9, but Beretta.
And you were in the military now for 5.5 years.
No, I was only in for like 5.5 years, some change.
And you ended up. How did you end up in Guantanamo Bay?
Well, like I said, I gotta go back a little bit. So when I got sent over to Basra, and then I came back.
Basra is in Iraq?
Iraq, yeah. It's like southern, like Lord. So I came back, and I already had the credentials still. They sent me back to training. So I went on a deployment in 2006. After I came back from there, I went to Virginia. Mm-hmm. And then I went through what we call an A school. And I became what we call operations specialist, like radarman, charts, navigation, stuff like that. And then I got stationed in San Diego.
So you're like kicking ass in the military, man.
I'm doing good. I'm moving up. I wasn't I wasn't my best self in the military, but I was moving up. I was doing well. I was gaining rank and everything like that. So I went through the A school. It's like 6 weeks. So it's not a hard course. Mm-hmm. What comes after is hard. So then I go to San Diego. And then we immediately go on another deployment in 2006. So we go to the Pacific cruise. Mm-hmm. And that's where we go like to Melanesian, like Japan, stuff like that, Asian countries, stuff like that. Then,
how often are you able to come home during this time over the 6 years? Are you coming home? Is your family seeing you at all? Or
not much, no. Matter of fact, at one point I didn't talk to them for 3 years.
Your family?
Mm-hmm. Because there was a lot of stuff that happened. It was crazy. That's a long story within itself, but. Yeah, that's when up happened. I went on deployment in 2006, so I went from A school. Like I said, my time zone, like I went from there to A school to right on deployment. They were already on deployment. They had just left Australia. They were about a month into a 6.5 month deployment. So I met them in, I think, Bahrain. Then we went to Thailand and Hong Kong, all those places. It was fun. And then we ended up
well-traveled.
Yeah,
you've been all over the place, huh?
Yeah, I went to a lot. I think in that deployment.
Are you getting R&R in these places? You having any fun in these places, or what?
Yeah,
Is it all?
Man, hookers and food.
What's that now?
Hookers and food.
In that order?
In that order.
Huh.
So allegedly.
No, it wasn't alleged. No.
I like it.
No, that shit
Keeping
happened.
it real, man. That's what it's all about.
All
That
the
was
way
fun.
real. Slick it there.
I don't even care if my wife's
real.
watching. It happened. So I ended up coming
I was
back.
a different man. It was war, baby.
Yeah, so I came back. And then they said, "Okay, Devin, we have another set of orders for you." I said, "Okay, where y'all want me to go?" Now they said Cuba. So I think December 2006, right after we got out of deployment, I went. That I remember that time mark. So I went through the training. I can't remember exactly everywhere we went. I think we went to Washington State, Biloxi, Mississippi, and some part of Fort Hood, I think it was, to do part of my detainee operation training. Then we went somewhere else. I can't remember. It was crazy. We were traveling all this.
Detainee operation. So you're doing this a lot. So what are you like a bag man, or they send you in to like grab people? This is the second time you brought up detainee operations.
So my job is basically like, it sounds badass, but it's really not. It's really guarding the prisoners of war.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was one part where, we were capturing people, and then my job was to guard them.
Okay.
So, and I did both.
But you're not doing any of the interrogations or anything like that yet?
No, I wasn't doing interrogations.
None of the human rights disasters that were occurring?
No. And honestly, like when you go to Cuba, it was different than what most people think it is. Matter of fact, there was a joke on the ship that when I got back from Cuba, and I'll get to that part in a second, but back when I was getting back from the Cuba, they had the Harold and Kumar escapes from Guantanamo Bay.
That's right. Yeah.
And like someone's like, one of the new guys, I remember his last name was Wild. So he comes up to me, and he's like, because they coached him up, and I'm over there listening to him. I was like, he's going to come and ask me something stupid. So I'm watching, I'm enjoying the movie. He's like, did any of that stuff happen? I said, yeah. And he's like looking at me like crazy. It's like, the whole, I was like, yeah, cop me sandwich and everything. He said, you see how I told him, I said, you see how happy I am? I said, I was well relieved out there. So we were joking around, stupid shit. So, but Cuba's not what people think it is now, especially now.
So, what do you mean by it's not what people think it is? Because people think it's that and Abu Ghraib are the two worst prisons on the planet, and this is where there's like human rights disasters happening there, and we are, breaking the Geneva Convention and every international treaty, interrogating. No,
not even close, man. Like we feed them detainees 3-4 times a day, like They have different camps. The worst ones are like Camp 1, 2, 3 and all that stuff.
This is where the people who perpetrated 9/11 were, or allegedly perpetrated 9/11.
Yeah, most of them are either soldiers. Some were just in the wrong place, wrong time. Like some had information that was valuable. most of them are captured soldiers or whatever, or insurgents or whatever. So we, while I was out there, they were, for the most part, they were fed well. They had clean clothes every day, and we made sure the food was halal, I think they call it.
Halal.
Yeah, we separated everything. We did everything to the T. We didn't beat the detainees. Matter of fact, the only time I even had to use my hands was one time the detainee bit me and we were allowed to use, they call it a super scapula, I think it is. You chopped him on the neck, and then he lets go. It shocked him because he's never been hit before by while he was in the camp. But that's the worst I've ever seen was when I did it. But most of the time, the detainees are throwing shit on you. I've got shit thrown on me in my face. I've had urine thrown on me.
You take shit over spit?
No.
He did seem to get a little more upset about the spit than he did about the shit.
Yeah, that's true. I don't like being spit on. I've been spit on by different that shit.
Because it's the intention, right? It's the
they're right in your face.
Someone throws shit at you, almost got to respect it a little bit. It's like there's a process involved here.
I didn't see that shit coming.
Premeditated.
At least I don't see that shit coming. No pun intended. But the whole spit thing, you see that coming. So that's what happened.
So the people who have this idea, we have the pictures that were in the press of these, the
guys
were being, I guess, tortured, or they made the people naked or something like that.
Yeah, that's like Abu Ghraib. Don't get me wrong. I don't know what happened in Cuba for them, but while I was out there, it was very transparent. Matter of fact, CNN, I hate those fuckers, but they were out there all the time.
Devin, I hate CNN too.
I hate CNN. Hate them. Can't stand them. They're stupid. So, sorry.
That's a short clip.
Apologize.
But they were out there all the time, and the correspondents were out there, and they caused more. Ooh, I thought I messed up. But anyway, they caused more problems than they were worth.
They're out there fishing for a story. They were out there trying to.
Matter of fact, we had, I think the one thing we had, I can talk about it now because I know it's in WikiLeaks, but basically we had the detainee. We had to move him to a different cell, but we had nowhere to put him, so they put him in a cell he didn't want to be in.
But you're in prison, so you don't get to choose your cell.
Yeah, you don't get to choose. But the thing is, he already had, like I can't tell you his name, but basically, long story short, is he was treated very well there. He had access to lawyers. He had good food, steak, lobster. Like, dude, he lived in a nicer cell than everybody else. He could talk to his family.
Wow.
He had access to books. He's learned how to write his own. Like, it was crazy, but he had information like bombs and stuff like that. But we had to put. And he's big. He's like my height, but he's like, I think he's taller than me. He's like 6'9". Call him the general. Really? Strong as shit. And we didn't we had to put him in this place. He didn't want to be there, so he tried to kick the cell door down. So we had to do a forced cell extraction on him. We go in there. We march on the block, and
I'm picturing the dude from Longest Yard, by the way.
It's interesting because I'm thinking of M. Bison from Street Fighter.
This dude was pretty big. So we go in there, we lock him up and everything. But the funny thing is, the guy that was in front of me, the shield guy, my job was to handle the arms. The other guy behind me, I think, is the legs. I can't remember exactly the how we were set up because it happened quick. We march on there. Everybody knows what's coming. So everybody's like shutting up because they don't want none of this because we're all armored to the teeth, man. We got like these look like a motorcycle helmet.
Yeah.
Body armor shit. So we march on there, boom, 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 boom.
What do they call that? Compliance through superior force? Was that
something like that? I don't even know. But long story short, we end up on going there. In the process, we end up knocking this guy up against the edge of his sink or something. We cut his head open. We're slipping in blood and shit and stuff, trying to pin this guy down. And then he finally calmed down. We cuff him up and everything. And then we got in trouble. So.
Jesus.
Luckily, we had a really good combat cameraman, so he's watching the whole thing. He had a good angle, so it didn't look because they thought we were striking him and shit.
That's wild, man. So now I imagine going from that to back to the real world is probably.
It was strange.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about before. It was even when I was overseas, you'll go through something really bad, like 2-3 weeks later, you're in. That was my experience. I went.
Could you get more specific, like we were talking about before, like what, like when you say something really bad?
Yeah,
something like the violence and the.
So you'll go through a violent act, like even in Iraq or even in Cuba or any of those places I went to. We would do something really bad, like you'll kill somebody, you'll see something, you'll witness something very traumatic,
Yeah.
and then we will we'll go through the process. They'll do like what we call a debriefing, basically, or stand down. They'll basically tell us for 3 hours, don't beat your wife, don't do this, don't do that, don't kill yourself, whatever. And then they send us back home. So then,
wait. No, we can't move on past that because
Yeah,
the way you poo-pooed that was like, hey guys, know you did some terrible shit. We sent you to do
months
that
or years, and then they give you a 3-hour debriefing course to it's crazy.
So they gave me
and the fact that they even have to be like, hey guys, also by the way, don't beat your
kill
wife,
anyone
don't
at
kill
home.
anybody or yourself. That would be rad.
Yeah, even when I was in Cuba, I still remember
thanks.
that one
Good,
too. They
thanks for
gave
telling
us, they gave us this, they gave us debriefing.
How many people are doing that? Sorry to cut you off, Dev. How many people? I mean, just think of the consequences of like having that conversation. That they have so many numbers available to them that they know that these are the proclivities of the people that are going to leave. Right? Like, hey guys, don't beat your wife, don't kill anybody, try not to kill yourself. And then they're just like, all right, high five. Like, there's no process of like, how do you process this trauma? Like, there's none of that.
No, not like they probably doing it now, but like that's what I heard they're doing. That ain't even the worst part. Like so when you get back, I remember I suffered. Like I remember my final deployment. I came back and I obviously suffered from PTSD. I was stressing out during the deployment, the last deployment, and that was in 2008. And there was a lot of factors to it, but long story short, they sent me back home, and it was clear I had PTSD, but they wanted me back on deployment. They wanted me to be ready to go back wherever they need me to go back on, because we can call left and right over there. And they basically would tell us to tell the doctors that we were fine, and we would do it.
It's almost like you were getting punished for being good at your job.
Yeah, well, it does something to you. Like I said, we talked about it before. It does something to you when you go on these deployments. It does something to you. You get used to things that you're normally not supposed to be used to.
Desensitized.
Well, not just desensitize you. It puts you on alert the entire time. That's sort of. I had to read a book on this so I can understand it myself. But like, it puts you in a state of like
Anxiety,
fight or
high
flight?
anxiety.
like you're in that fight or flight. Yeah, that's perfect. Fight or flight, like anxiety, stuff like that, and you don't know how to shut that off, and you can't. That's why a lot of the veterans are killing themselves. They don't know what else. You lose your, like, especially when you get out the military, you lose your purpose or what you perceive as your purpose.
And when you say a lot, I don't know if everybody knows like how many it is. I used to work with a charity called the 22, and 22 people, 22 veterans a day.
That was
every
average.
Single day.
That was the average.
Yeah,
that was the average, and it's not even just
That's
from
so
our
sad.
war. Like
it's unreal.
Yeah, and like I don't talk about it too much, but that was almost a statistic. I actually hung myself, and luckily the thing broke, and I ended up going to the VA. They Baker acted me for like 2 weeks, I think.
So wait. So
Holy shit.
when you got out of the military,
I was homeless. That was it. My life was over. I was homeless. I got out in 2009. I was homeless in California. I drove from California to South Carolina. I was able to get up enough money. And then they didn't even leave me any money. I ended up going to South. Don't get me wrong, I understand why. They were going to recoup the bonus, so I had to pay a bunch of money back and stuff. They took my leave money. I stayed up like 54 days of leave. That should have gave me like $3,000, but they didn't do that. So I didn't have enough money to get back home. So I was able to get some money. I drove all the way from California to South Carolina. Wow. Things didn't work out there. I was having these nasty flashbacks, man. It was bad. They gave me like quetiapine and like trazodone and stuff like that, which made it worse. I was having hallucinations and shit. And then I ended up going to beg. My mom didn't want nothing to do with that, so I was out on the street. And there were people who helped me, but generally I ended up on the street. So went to Arizona. I don't even know why the fuck I went to Arizona. I went to Arizona.
You're just searching for something, man.
Well, my ex-fiance was out there. I thought I can I was like, she was in the Navy with me, maybe, and then it didn't work out. So I was homeless in there. That's the worst place to be homeless is Arizona.
Hot.
It's not just hot. It's almost illegal. Every time I tried to fall asleep, there's a cop shining a light in my window. There's a tall black male in here. It's like, you can't sleep here. You can't sleep. So
how does, I mean, what's your thinking there? I mean, here you are literally going all over the world fighting for the country. You come back.
And that's
the
what
bravest and the baddest, the ones who are sacrificing the most and then tossed out. Like, thanks, see you later.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. Should have a lifetime pension.
Yeah, and it was crazy. So we end up, and they take care of, like the VA takes care of me now. But like like I said, it took me years because we had to fight them too. So we had to, I ended up coming to South Florida. It's funny. I was watching Burn Notice, and that's how I was like, got the idea to move to Miami. Went there.
It's a great show.
Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah.
Hated Miami though, so I found my way to Fort Lauderdale, and I lived in a halfway house off and on until I was able to get myself on my feet. I went to college. I went to Kaiser University. That helped me get the GI Bill. I was able to build from there. I started doing jiu-jitsu not too long after, which that's a funny story within itself, because I ended up going the wrong way. I was looking for a place to sleep, and I saw Team Popovich on Oakland Park Boulevard.
You're literally homeless.
Yeah, I was literally homeless. I was looking for a place to sleep, and there was Team Popovich sitting right there. I remember it was December 2010, 2011, February 2011, late February is when I started jiu-jitsu.
Interesting.
Loved it so much. I trained literally 2-3 times a day, and it took me 5 years, and I got my black belt.
And you're an absolute savage on the mat.
Yeah,
man.
loved it.
So
I fell in love
you know,
with it. It was crazy, and that's what helped my life. My life got better.
Yeah.
I started meeting people. I was competing. I started getting recognized. I started like working and stuff like that. You know,
you found that community. You found that purpose.
yeah, it's the same camaraderie I had in the military. It's structured. You know where you stand. You have ranks. There's the head guy. That's the general. Then you got the little white belts. Those the pawns. That's me. At the time. You can work your way up. It was the same exact thing. It was great. So that's how I was able to rebuild my life. So
Getting back to the nasty here. I mean,
of course.
I've been in a dark place as well. Not as dark as that, but I mean the thinking that goes into actually putting the noose around your neck. Were you drinking? Were you doing drugs? Were you?
No, matter of fact, I didn't get drunk until my wedding back when I was 34.
Wow,
That's the first time I got drunk.
well, good because nobody could carry you big.
I was on raw emotions, man. No drinks, no drugs, and I just didn't want to be there no more. I started to get my life together. It was like, so what led to that was I was living in Columbia at the time. My mom,
South Carolina.
Yeah, it's in South Carolina, and I found a little place. It was nice. It was buried in the back. I said, no one's gonna bother me. It's in off of 2 Notch Road. Never forget. And I had a job. It was a small job. Just doing like basically boxing up things and stuff at night and stuff like that. So I went in one Friday, got my last check, came back Monday. It was closed. That's when the recession hit.
2008.
Lost my apartment 2 weeks later. So my last day of my apartment, I hung myself.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. And then I woke up. The noose had broke. I woke up, came to, realized that was fucking stupid. My neck sore. Just cuts on my neck and shit. I'm like right here and stuff. They healed up pretty good. So I end up going to the VA.
Smart.
Yeah, and which actually made things a little bit worse, to be honest, because the VA in Columbia at the time was pretty bad. So that was
you had nobody to reach out to at the time. There was nobody. You said you weren't getting along with your mom. You had broken up with your fiance.
Yeah, there was nothing, no one.
So what would you say to somebody that's, God forbid, listening to us right now, feeling in a similar situation? What should they do? Like how do they recognize what they're feeling, and then what process would you recommend that they go through to kind of, avoid getting to that point?
I'll tell you what I did. I don't know. Everybody's different for everybody, but what I did was after, I got the help I needed, I talked to somebody. That was the hardest thing, because especially I know it's the race card, but being in a black community that's stigmatized, because at the time, it's like you should be strong,
Yeah.
I think it's amongst men, but definitely in the black community, that's
it's the Irish community.
No,
too,
that's
yeah. I say it's amongst men in
man.
general. Yeah, that's why men are more likely to commit suicide. We don't really have anyone to talk to, so you need to find someone to talk to, work things out.
Well, 80%. It's not just a little bit. I think
Yeah, it was
80% of all
80%.
suicides.
Yeah, all suicides are males. So that's why I learned. That's one of the first things I learned, actually. And then I actually read books about it. Like one guy I remember going to the VA, and I remember talking to this guy. He said, "You want to learn about your condition? You need to read about it. Read from the other veterans that went through it and stuff like that." So that's what I did. And then as I read through it and I talked to the right people, they medicated me. So one of the things I learned was to actually get off the medication. That was what was messing me up. I couldn't sleep like properly. When I would sleep, I would have these vivid nightmares and stuff. Like that was, so it's like, nah, you need to stay off that stuff, because they're drugging you. They're experimenting on you. They don't even know what to give you.
Wow.
Yeah, so that helped. Diet changes, and then they said you need to go find something to do. You're a man. Go find some shit to do. Go work out.
That's not a small thing. Men need purpose. We have to feel like we're doing something. We have to feel useful. We have to feel a part of a community, either building our community through family or being a part. There's something in us that is inherently
purpose.
It's purpose driven.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, you got a
when
purpose.
people don't have that purpose or they lose that purpose, there's a massive void. And it's not just in the military. I mean, you talk about guys, we talked about this on a couple podcasts ago. There's dudes I played with that were first round draft picks, man. These are, guys that are role models. These are guys that have done everything right their whole life. And, they get hurt and they start taking pills to like play through the pain, and nobody considers them a drug addict. Nobody considers them anything like that. There's guys I played with that didn't go through anything that traumatic, but they just, when you get cut, that's it. The team's done with you.
Yeah,
you can't hang out with your friends anymore. That's it. They give you a ticket home, and hey, good luck to you, bud. And it's a really weird place to be because you have nobody to talk to because everybody's like, what are you complaining about? You got to live out your dream. All right, come join the real world with the rest of us. And it's not that easy transition.
Boring.
Yeah, you can't go from being on a $1 billion destroyer, traveling the world to then coming back to Columbia, South Carolina and working a menial job and feeling like, all right, well, I'm lucky.
Yeah, I remember those adrenaline rushes, man. I remember like first time being in like a real firefight. I remember the first time being in Cuba. I remember being surrounded by all these people who had purpose. I would do something and it would like literally, I remember I would track contacts. Stupid small job. You're sitting there staring at a screen and then you press a button, you track this contact, and then everybody hears it, and then all of a sudden the ship lights up, and then you got all these things, and it's like you started that. That was your purpose. Your purpose was to find this, like little things like that. That meant something to me. And then you go to, okay, I'm boxing up shit. No one's gonna know I did this shit.
Boxing up shit.
Was jiu-jitsu a big part, like a big, like very helpful to you? Like having the community, having like, you know what I mean? So I always talked about jiu-jitsu. Like when I first started, it was like such an outlet, and like it was like therapy. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like you have to be so focused on not getting choked. You can't think about any other problems you might have. You know what I mean?
Because when you started, your family life was kind of up in upheaval as well, right?
Yeah.
With jiu-jitsu, it gave me a different focus, especially when I'm doing jiu-jitsu. Like my wife, she makes a joke. She says jiu-jitsu is my first and only love, and I'm like, well, you're right.
Married to the game, baby.
You're lucky jiu-jitsu isn't a person. I would definitely you be the deciding woman. I'm just joking.
And now you train some incredible fighters as well. You work with a lot of great fighters. You train them. Now you competed. Now
and those endorphins too. Like kind of I think the last time we were talking about like with mental health and stuff, like getting that exercise and like, you know what I mean, like getting those endorphins and stuff. That shit, I know I'm addicted to endorphins.
Well, there's there's a certain amount of toughness too. I got so much respect for you, and I got so much respect for him because, look, I'm an asshole. I'll fight anybody anytime, but to do it every day.
Yeah,
like I'm 2 times a day.
I compete.
Yeah,
I've
bro.
Before.
Like,
I don't compete as much anymore.
I used to mess with Mick, man. Like, I'd go roll around with you, and then he'd go to play pickleball with me later, and I couldn't move, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, this is my day every day. Try that 3 times a day and do it for 10 years, and then see how you feel." And I'm like, "But my legs hurt."
It's different. Yeah, it's a whole different lifestyle. And it comes with a sacrifice. It's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
I grapple with it every day, and no pun intended. Literally, it's like I'm gonna train for 5 hours, and my mind is gonna be great, but now I can't sit on my ass because my legs hurt, and I want to play video games.
Do you ever? I mean, your life is in such a different place right now than it was 10 years ago. You got a wife, you got kids, you got a beautiful house. You got a business, American Combat Gym. My
life came a long way, and I'm one of those guys. I'm like a growth. I hate to use the term growth mindset. I'm one of those guys. I don't really care about the destination. I'm more about the journey. And like the destination was to get a house, get a family, get a car. The one thing I always wanted was an electric car. I got the electric car, and now I'm just kind of like cruising now. See what else comes along.
What would you say to 2009 Devin if you could talk to him? What would you say?
I just tell him everything gonna be all right.
Everything gonna be all right.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
But in 2009, there's no way you thought that was true.
I didn't think I'd be here today.
Yeah.
I didn't see myself. I thought I'd be in prison or dead, or definitely dead. Definitely would have tried it again, more than likely. Like, I had to find purpose.
Pretty incredible that, you know, you didn't resort to drugs or alcohol or anything like that. You didn't look for any.
I didn't even smoke weed until a few years ago.
Which is weird because you look like Rasta.
Yeah, right.
Ja.
I grew this out because I wanted to try something new. Nah, I smoked weed for like a year and some change. It wasn't for me. I root for people who do it. I think you should like definitely support it. You know, everybody, it should be legal, but it's not for me.
You know, Mick was talking about this earlier. I mean, we really, as a country, especially now, I'm going to get on my Gerard episode,
your soapbox,
my soapbox here. Yeah. If we are gonna, as a people, just turn a blind eye to the military-industrial complex, if we're gonna send, like, what do we think $60 billion to the Ukraine is doing? What do we think that we're sending over? Fucking pamphlets on how to eat clean? Like, what do we think? Like, that $60 billion is going to kill people.
Yeah,
it's going to eradicate entire generations of people. We're training people, like my buddy Chris was talking about. He's like, dude, you know, imagine China. And I love America. I love this place to death, but I have such a hatred for our government. Our government is not beholden to us, and they take people, vulnerable people, and they use them and discard them, and I feel us as citizens, man, the more we turn a blind eye to it, the more culpable we are in it.
Well, that's the foundation of how that government's built, if you think about it in the long run.
How you figure?
I mean, no institution can escape the founding principles of its origin.
Go on.
I think that at the end of the day, like the way the America was made, how it was taken, and what it is now, and what we continue to do. I mean, we're based in war. We were founded in war. And we've never had, how long have we had peace?
Well, no, we never had.
Yeah, 20, maybe 10, 15, 20 years of peace. We've been at war almost every year since the inception of America.
It's very profitable.
Which makes sense of what I said earlier.
But every country on earth, every single country, like the whole idea of like, you're on native land. It's like literally everybody all over the world.
Oh no, I mean, land is going to exchange hands. That's just how it is. I mean, you look at the history, even of Israel. You look at us. You can look at Europe. It's all the same. Africa, it's all the same. But
again, like we as a people, we also can evolve a little bit beyond this. Like, again, we talked about the Navy. The Navy's number one job is to patrol oil and internet under the ocean.
I remember when they first told us the purpose is a show of force, and then I was like, okay, but why are we guarding these oil rigs?
Yeah, yeah, it's a show of force for the oil.
Yeah, but I understand, why. Sometimes it's better just to understanding. Nothing you can do about it. We can rant and argue. It's just
I don't know if there's nothing we could do about it. I don't know if a lot of people know what's going on. I really don't. I think a lot of people, when they hear this hard stuff, they turn off.
They don't. I think that most people, like, they kind of turn blind eye because they feel either they can't do anything about it or they just don't care.
Yeah,
it's like, well, as long as my car's running, as long as my electricity's going. As long as I'm able to put tires on my vehicle, whatever, I can feed my family. I don't really give a fuck about the family over there that's getting tortured and destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's complaining, even about the whole battery car. It's like, okay, it's clean for the environment, but you still need coal, this, that, and the third. It's like, well, you know what? Hundreds of millions of people died to put them tires in your car. How about that?
Yeah, or that, the children in Africa mining the lithium for the EV batteries. Yeah, so.
Exactly. Chinese kids are, like, putting together your electronic systems.
Well, again, like, so, like, this is government again now, so people don't know, with the Biden administration, one of the quote-unquote good things that they did is they took the tariffs away from Southeast Asian countries, Vietnam, Korea, I think Cambodia, to send over solar panels to the United States. But they kept the tariffs on China because it's like, yeah, fuck China. But all these companies did is they bought the stuff through shell companies in either Saudi Arabia or Russia in China, shipped it down to Cambodia, and then shipped it to America. So we've been buying these Chinese things anyway that have been built by slaves. And again, this is the type of stuff where I lose my mind when I get lectured by some celebrity who's wearing Nikes that are made by slaves in China. I'm like, bro, like, nah, dude, like, come on. There's no reason to be this ignorant. We have access to all this knowledge.
You know what a funny thing is you say about the Nikes and stuff? I learned something a long time ago. I don't know how much time, but I'll tell you this real quick.
6 minutes.
We had
I feel like we got to do a part 2 with Dev.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone reaches out. Thanks him for enlightening us on
I
some of this
100%.
shit. And I want to get into more. I feel there's so much. We barely scratched the surface.
I wanted to get into the jiu-jitsu and the fighting. We barely got into any of it.
Yeah, I want to get into his the action he saw out there too. You know what I mean? I bet he's got stories for days.
For sure. We'll definitely have Dev back. But tell your story, man. We got some little bit more time.
All right, so how I learned about the Nikes and the Jordans and stuff. So I didn't know anything about this, but that's how one of my first lessons of capitalism as a young adult was we had he was a master chief of our show. I can't remember his name. And black guy, really nice guy, until you get on his nerves anyway. But we would go
black people, am I right, Devin?
Yeah, so I just had to add that in. But yeah, so he's a master chief, very, very, very smart man. He's a multimillionaire though. He had a stake in a company called 31 Flavors, making good money, but it didn't satisfy him. So what he ended up doing was when we would go to China and stuff like that, we went quite often actually because we were always going deployments. He found a link over there. He found some contacts over there that worked at the company, and they would literally send him shoes. Now, if you go over there at the time, I think Jordans and Nikes and stuff like $10 a pair over there. Like the stuff you're paying $100, $200 over here, he's paying over there $5-10.
Yeah.
So he made a lot of money. When you're a master chief, you make a lot of money in the military. That's a real thing. He will buy a fuck ton of shoes, dude, a fuck ton, and he will send them back home, and he would just have them stuffed in his garage.
Arbitrage.
Dude, it was crazy. He said, Devin, this is how I make my money. You should
yeah?
do the same. And I started to, but I was kind of young and ignorant. I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get into business. I just want to work. But that's what he did. And that's how he made all his money. He said, yeah, you go over there to the source, you get all these shoes and the Nikes and stuff. And he told me how they made them. He told me about the whole children, slaves, whatever. He said, fuck all that. Don't worry about that. That's not important. What's important is your bottom line, your pocket.
Yep.
You take it and you sell it over here for like 10, 15, whatever. I think they were selling for $110 at the time. The same shoes he's selling probably $300.
Dude, fashion is the dumbest shit in the world. Fashion is just people, it's just a giant flex. That's all it is. It's insecure people trying to flex.
But that is
Balenciaga. All this stuff going on with Balenciaga. Like you see the clothes. Like this is some of the ugly, like Satanists, pedophilia, all that stuff. Gross. Fine. The clothes are disgusting. Why is Balenciaga even a thing? This looks like trash bags.
That's the thing though. People are,
do I not have class? Am I not classy enough to get the Balenciaga?
Dude, trust me when I say I don't understand fashion like that, but I understand that it's insanely important. It's important enough to where when I was over in even when like China, went to Singapore, and they also did it in Korea, they would tell you be careful to leave your clothes in there because or if you have your bags in there, make sure you're locked up in a good place. Because they would I know a lot of those the maids and stuff like that, they will come in there to steal your shit.
Yeah.
And they'll sell it. Because they know they're going to get a buck off of it. They understand that's important.
I hate to tell you, brother, that shit happens in Jersey too.
No, it happens everywhere. But that's what I learned. I was like, damn, they're doing that over there. It's crazy, and that's small compared to some of the other stuff I learned over there.
That's good, man. I mean, that's a good lesson for everybody. Never get caught slipping. Whether you're in Newark, New Jersey, Bahrain, in China, regardless.
Oh yeah, Hong Kong.
So Mick, you got anything we want to close out with, bro?
Man, like I said before,
I know we're just getting started here,
we're
bro.
just getting started. There's so much we could delve into, but thank you for your service and thanks for blessing us with your point of view and your stories and all that shit, bro.
Yeah,
thank you,
and thank you for not killing me every time we roll together. Appreciate you, brother. You got any shout outs you want to give here, Dev? Yeah. American Combat Gym. Tell people to come by. Yeah, please. American Combat Gym, the head grappling coach there. You have Charles McCarthy, Charles Rosa, Braden Smith's our striking coach. Miles Fiprung handles the kids striking classes, and Matt Wakey, he's about to fight soon, so good luck to him. And Steve Williams, our wrestling coach. I want to shout out to my lovely wife, Victoria Moultrie. I know where to go from there. Greg Hardy, he just won his boxing I think it's his debut, or it might have been his second fight. But
yeah, I think he had two. I think we're gonna get him in here too.
Yeah, I can bring him in here. I just talked to him earlier. Actually, he's still in Florida.
I know G has fun training with him.
Between the two of you, bro. Oof.
No, those, big boys.
That's some big boy battles right there, bro.
Yeah, he ain't the biggest. Yeah, I don't even know who else to shout out. I got so many people. Kevin C. Paul's my best friend.
Well, save the rest of them for the next time because we
you're
definitely
coming
got to have
back,
you
bro.
back.
We
Yeah,
gotta
man.
get you back. Get you back.
You know, no shout outs, free shout outs. This is Slick and Thick. If you're
Why
listening,
do you say that?
Huh?
Why do you
that.
say no free shout outs?
No free shout.
What is that?
That's my shout out to Bussin' with the Boys. No free shout outs. No shout out.
Oh, that's their thing. He loves these guys.
I
He's
love
busting with the
Bussin'.
boys, guys.
I'm
You
the
know them?
boys. Yes, for the
I can dig
boys.
it.
Yeah. So guys, thanks for tuning in. If you made it this far, go a little further. You can follow us here. Use the code SNT for free. You get everything on Gas Digital for free if you use code SNT. Follow Mickey Gall, the man, the slick Mick, the ruler. Follow Gerard Michaels, the funniest man you never heard of. Follow Devin Moultrie, and let us know in the comments how much you liked him, and we'll have him back. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Slick and Thick. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tell a friend to tell a friend about us. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for having me.